What if I tell you that before you can sell your product, you still have to start with selling a very good sales presentation? Mastering your sales pitch is extremely important for you to succeed in sales. So I've got 6 very good tips for you that you can try in 2025, because let's face it, if your sales pitch will improve, your sales will do the same. Let's get into it. Number 1, 3 S or S's. Short, sweet, and simple. Every sales presentation varies in terms of the length of time you need for your client or your prospect to sit down and hear you out. Remember, you hold the sales script. It's you who have all the information about the product you're trying to sell. Your client's job is to sit there and listen to your presentation and hopefully not fall asleep. Why do I recommend the 3 S's for a very effective sales pitch? Simply because they don't have the time and attention span to absorb so much information beyond a realistic time frame on listening and absorbing a sales presentation. Have you heard of AIDA? We call it AIDA. It's a very popular acronym that salespeople should have at the back of their minds, which reminds them to attention, interest, desire, and action. When you focus on AIDA and use the short, sweet, and simple method on any of your sales pitch, not only that you manage your time very wisely, but at the same time, there is a very effective method that you follow through. First, you want to grab their attention. Next, you want to build the interest or get to know their interest. And then D, you want to establish a very strong desire. And A is their action or the sale. So remember, when you want to master a sales pitch, the number 1 thing you need to remember is managing the time you spent talking on your presentation. Number 2, stick to your sales script. When you're making a presentation, it's very important to have a sales script. It doesn't matter if you read it word per word. Matter of fact, make it conversational. But a script or a sales script is very important because that guides you on the structure and the sequence of the benefits that you need to say and the benefits you're holding on to at the end or almost at the end of your closing of your sales presentation. Number 3, identify his problems before selling. A lot of salespeople are so eager and so jumpy to make a sale. I was like that once before. But I've realized that the more jumpy I am, the more I feel overly excited to sell the product without really identifying my client's problem. I ended up making a very big mistake, and that is obviously a failed sales presentation. You can do this 2 ways. When I was cold calling before, I have to identify more or less as much problems or issues that my client have where my product is the solution. I try to get to know that over the phone before I see him face to face. And the reason for that is so when I see him on our official sales presentation meeting, I do know where to position myself. and I'm positioning myself to the seller and not the buyer. When a salesperson sells right away during sales presentation, you're making the client feel like you are the ones making a decision to buy. And that's a no-go. What you want to master is, I'm going to make sure that before I see him, before our face-to-face meeting, I was able to spend some time to get to know his problems. So when I see him, my next mission is to basically tell him, look, from our conversation last Monday, I do recognize that you have issues with your server. Pricing is an issue. You're currently getting out of your contract with your current provider, but this is not something that suits your expectation, and so on and so forth. These are the problems of your buyer or of your client. Now, your next job to make a very good sales pitch or a very good sales presentation is just to simply right away go through the solutions you have for him. Number 4, this is my favorite. When you're going for a sales presentation, you have to dress to impress. When you go for a presentation, you need to dress appropriately, professionally, comfortably, and you're making an impression. I'm not asking you to overdress. I'm not asking you to buy the most expensive pair of suit. Use what you have, but dress appropriately and dress to impress. Your grooming, the collar that you wear, the comfort that you have while you're dressed and you're doing presentation. Let me share you one funny story. Many years ago, when I was going for a sales presentation, I was still really young and pretty much young in the sales industry. So this is so many years ago. Because I was learning as I go, I attended this event where I had to personally do a presentation, face-to-face presentation to my client. Because I did not dress to impress, I was actually wearing smart casual, or I remember at the time the collar was also not so professional. I think I was wearing bright yellow shirt or bright yellow polo shirt. It was just really not suitable for the occasion. So the entire time of my presentation, I was so self-conscious. I was so uncomfortable. And this is the reason why I recommend for you, before you see your client, make sure you're prepared and you dress to impress. Number 1, you're comfortable, because when you're comfortable, your focus is on your presentation. And believe me, during that presentation, all I could think about is 50% I'm doing my presentation, 50% of my brain was saying, okay, I'm so uncomfortable. I feel like a bright yellow light in the middle of this meeting. I can't wait to get out of the room. So really take this as a very basic advice, but often overlooked until we realize that it didn't make you feel comfortable on your presentation. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about being strict about the color that you wear or what you wear on your sales presentation. I'm talking about you're comfortable. Are you comfortable to stand and to face your client wearing what you're wearing? Because if you're not fully comfortable, it would really affect you mentally in terms of your focus. Number 5, tone, voice, and language that you use. When you're doing a sales presentation, it's very important to take note of your tone and your voice and your language, or the language that you use. Sounds basic, but how many presentations you've actually sat in and you ended up losing connection with the presenter or losing interest with the salesperson because the tone is off, the voice you struggle to hear. It's almost like you're not catching all the information, all the relevant points you should be getting from that sales presentation because the voice is too soft or the voice is just not appropriate or not fitting for a sales presentation tone. Of course, language is very important. This has to do with really making sure you've used the right sales script for your presentation, but at the same time, the language that you use, if you're throwing some humor in your sales presentation, which is perfectly fine, make sure that you're using the right language. Make sure you're not using random, semi-vulgar jokes or words in your sales presentation because it will set off your client and it's not going to be a good look for you and you're not going to get the sale. So remember your tone, your voice, and your language. And finally, the sixth on my list in order for you to improve your sales presentation in 2025 is your CTA, your call to action. At the end of your successful sales presentation, whether you get the sale on the spot or whether you're under negotiation with the pricing and you have to follow up the next day, once you completed a successful presentation, what comes next is closing the meeting or closing the sales presentation professionally, effectively, and efficiently. What do you mean by professionally? How professional you are from the time you met up with the client and the entire presentation is how you should be professional as well as you finish off the sales presentation. How efficient you are from the beginning to the end of the sales presentation simply means you've not missed out on anything very valuable in your agenda because you stayed focused and you stayed organized with your sales presentation. So if these are the tips that you've used before, please comment down below. Personally, these are my top 6 at the moment, as I also do a lot of sales presentation myself. And I always keep in mind that I will only buy from someone that I like. Your presentation can be good, your sales pitch could be good because you made it likable. And you make yourself likable. Just remember, selling is not easy, but it's very simple. Just follow the formula, 3S, AIDA, CTA. These are the little words that you should put on a small post-it in front of you on your desk so you don't forget them. If you like this video, you like this content, please, I have over 100 videos in my playlist ranging from sales, communications, overcoming objections, cold calling, and many other subtopics related to a successful salesperson. Whether you're doing face-to-face, you're a small business owner, or you're like me. I'm just gonna be always selling products on the phone, to my client, face-to-face. We're all in sales. So I hope you enjoyed today's training session. I will see you on the next one. It's a gorgeous day in Singapore right now. It's been raining for days now. The sun is kind of out. So I'll enjoy this day and continue training and get better for 2025. Bye, guys.